Welcome to the Ho-Ho Show.
Rated the #1 most listened to podcast on Pluto. So join us now as we discuss news, politics, current events, and so much more. So clear the airwaves and strap in as we
defend the Constitution, because freedom matters.
Broadcasting from the Cottage Studio, welcome to the Ho-Ho Show. As always, I'm your host, Ho-Ho. How y'all's doing? I hope you're doing good. I really do. Hold on a second. Oops, I think I just said the wrong command. There we go. I should be right. There we go. All right, that's better. That's better. That's better. I had the studio lights off. I figured I better go ahead and turn those on. That'll kind of help me be a little bit more visible over there in the YouTube land. And hello, the Machine Radio Show. How y'all doing? He says, I pooped. That's awesome. It's good to hear. You know, thinking of, I haven't actually done that today. I probably should. I mean, I ain't doing it now, but I probably should. I probably should. So, yesterday, man, there was so much stuff to get to. Holy crap. Normally my shows run, about an hour, hour and a half. Lately they've been running an hour and a half to 2 hours. Yesterday's show was like 2 hours and 40 some odd minutes. Holy crap. It was a long show. There was that much stuff to get into, context to lay out, things to cover. It was just a long stinking show. And I still did not even get to this topic talking about the HB 5471, which is the Illinois Who Gives a Fuck About Your Rights ban. There it is. Assault weapons ban. Didn't even get to that topic. And who knows, this sucker may be a half hour. The sucker may be an hour. I don't even know. I have no idea what to expect out of this episode, especially with the machine being over there. It's hard telling if he's going to call in and throw his 2 cents into it. Now, I haven't actually listened to Thursday's episode of the Machine Radio Show. I haven't done that yet, considering I know that we're going to be covering the same topic on this. I wanted to read these things and kind of familiarize myself with it, draw my own conclusions before I did that. I haven't done that yet. But his episode was on Thursday, 7 p.m. You can find that in quite a few different places. And with Brandon being over there, yeah, this might get interesting. I know how these type of things go sometimes. Good times. But we're talking about this bill. Now, this bill just got done passing. Oh, holy crap. It wasn't that long ago. Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe. Thursday. Heck, I don't know. When does this article come out? Let me look at that one. This article came out on the 12th. So whatever day that was. That was Thursday. Okay. So, earlier in the week, earlier in last week is whenever this got passed. And Illinois is now the 9th state to have the 9 states to have an assault weapons ban. Okay. The machine puts in and goes, I tried showing the AR in my pants on camera. Yeah. No, that's okay. You can refrain from that one. That would be nice. That would be nice. Now, there was a lot of articles that I threw into this magazine over there on Flipboard, and in which case, if you would like to check out all of the articles that I will be referencing and all the articles that I referenced in yesterday's show, head on over to thehohoshow.com. Click over on that newsfeed tab. There is my magazine on Flipboard, and this is the same magazine for yesterday, so it's yesterday's date, 1/14/2023. So, there's a lot in there, several articles that I referenced, several articles that I bring up. And first and foremost, there's quite a few different things that's completely crap about this bill. All right. Now, first and foremost, okay, I wrote an article a while back. You can even find that over there in that magazine for yesterday's episode, talking about, my political leanings, my views, what have you. I put a lot of context into it. I explained some things, and I didn't mute my phone. But yes, I explained quite a bit in there, and one of the things that I mentioned is me being an originalist, especially whenever I'm talking more so about, the Constitution. I'm an originalist. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the Constitution as written. Now, I want to explain something on this, okay? The Constitution, this little booklet right here, it's got the Constitution. It's got the entirety of the Bill of Rights and the amendments. It's got the Declaration of Independence. It's a pretty small document. It's not that big, 30 some odd pages, and that's it. Okay. This document, this booklet was written by people that were, let's just say they're pretty intelligent. They're not idiots by any stretch of the imagination. But it was written in plain, simple English. It was written in common parlance. It was written like that. So that this way, that anybody, no matter what your education level, as long as you have the ability to read, you will be able to read and understand what this is trying to tell you. The government by which they are entrusting us with. It's that simple, okay? And they did that because they wanted, it was kind of a general understanding, okay? Because if you have to go to somebody else to have this document explained to you, for them to describe to you what your freedoms are, then are you truly free? No, you're not, because then your knowledge of said document is based off of what somebody else is willing to tell you about it. It's not knowledge that you earn for yourself. They did this so that this way every American is entrusted with the safeguarding of their freedoms. Period. End of story. It's that simple. Okay. It was written simply in common everyday parlance for everybody to understand it. It wasn't written in legalese. Okay. It wasn't written like that. All right. It wasn't written like that. You don't have to have, several doctorate degrees and you don't have to have 20 different accountants, like the tax code to understand what the heck's going on and decipher the information. It was written in common everyday parlance so everybody would be able to understand what they were talking about and what your freedoms are. And specifically, on this episode, we are talking about the Second Amendment. Second Amendment. It's one sentence. That's all it is. Let's go ahead and read that real quick. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of the free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, I want to give a little something on this. The right of the people to keep and bear arms. See, that's actually kind of significant in there. One, it begins the whole thing of, the machine states that it's a single friggin' sentence. Yes, it is. But the right of the people, that combination of words is only used in one other place in the entirety of the Constitution. It's almost like they did this on purpose. Okay. It's kind of like the freedom of the press. Okay. A newspaper, or at least, somebody who writes for a newspaper only has his freedom because I have mine. It's not that freedom was written for people that work for the press. No, they are only able to do what they do because I have the freedom of press. The same thing goes with the freedom of speech and the freedom of peaceably assemble and all that kind of good stuff. Machine puts in and goes, well, you heard the Illinois lawmaker. She asked where it said an individual had a right to arms. Yeah, she actually said this. And I mean, I'm not surprised. But again, I mean, it clearly states right there, the right of the people. That means me as an individual, not as an organization, not as it relates to the militia or, the armed services, me as one of we, the people. I have the right to keep and bear arms. Let me break that down for you a little bit more. It's to have, to own, and to carry on me, on my person, not just in my home, but when I am out in public. It's that simple. The right of the people to keep and bear arms, to have and to hold, to own and to carry. That's what that means. It's simple English. I don't understand why they keep arguing about this. Let me continue. Shall not be infringed. What part of shall not be infringed do these people not understand? Again, simple English. Everybody understands it, but nobody wants to take it seriously. Nobody wants to take it seriously. And reading into this article, there's some things in here that is very laughable as far as, what they are banning, what they are restricting, all this other kind of stuff. Okay. And it really goes to show you, and it goes to highlight that the people who wrote this law have absolutely no idea about how a gun works, ballistics, flight travel, lethality, none of this stuff. They don't know. And quite honestly, they don't care, because let's be clear that this assault weapons ban ain't got jack diddly squat to do with assault weapons. It's not gun control for the sake of controlling guns. It's controlling people. That's what they want to control. After 200 and some odd years, they plan on doing something. But let's go ahead and cover some of the stuff that this ban is restricting. It says 6 features that guns can have, and it is these features that are being, restricted. A pistol grip or a thumb hole stock, any feature capable of functioning as a protruding grip that can be held by the non-triggered hand, a folding, telescopic, thumb hole, or detachable stock, or a stock that is otherwise foldable or adjustable in a manner that operates to reduce the length, size, or any other dimension, or otherwise enhances the concealability of the weapon. You can, let me go ahead and finish reading this list, and then yes, you can go ahead and call in. A flash suppressor, a grenade launcher. What? They actually put that in there, a grenade launcher. Okay. And then the last one is a shroud over your barrel. A rail that you can put attachments on, whether it be a scope, whether it be a grip, whether it be what have you. That's the last thing that they said that they can do. Now, of course, you can go ahead and call in. You'll have to follow the prompts on in. I don't think I did. I don't know. But yeah, go ahead and call on in. Telephone number is, by the way, 217-965-6133 if you'd like to call and be part of the show. This can get interesting. But yeah, now here's the thing I want to point out about, okay? None of these features that you can add onto a rifle. Some of these you can get put on at the factory. Some of these are options that you can do yourself, either way you look at it. These are all common And here we go. Welcome to the Ho Ho Show. You are on the air. How you doing, Brandon? Good to hear you.
Oh, I'm on the air.
Yes, you are. Calm your titties. It's okay. How you doing, man?
Okay. I've had a lot of coffee.
Right? I've had my fair share. I've not had as much today as I did yesterday, but I'm still on my fair share.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure I'm pissing espresso at this point.
Oh, that's exciting. Is it all coming out weird glowing colors?
No, it's coming out dark. I think that might be an issue. I might want to get checked out.
Well, there's doctors for that. It's okay. So you're wanting to talk about these pieces that they're looking to, that they just got done banning.
Oh yes.
Okay, all right.
Let's start with flash suppressor or flash hider.
Right. Do they not know that that's not necessarily, like we call it a muzzle brake, right? I mean, we don't even call it a flash suppressor. Do they not know what that's actually for? I mean,
no,
it's not
don't.
To conceal your location.
They that's exactly what they think it does. They think it actually stops the flash from happening, so therefore they can't see it flash. What it actually does is it redirects the gases from your face.
Yeah, redirects the gas. It makes it to where it stabilizes your barrel so you can better aim downrange.
Trust me, you can still see the flash from 2 blocks out.
Oh yeah.
Okay, my favorite too though is the barrel shroud.
Yeah.
Because the way they worded it and exactly how they said it was that anything that can keep you from burning your hand.
Yes.
So basically, they just outlawed every rifle ever devised in the human history.
Yeah, because basically every single one of them has something on the barrel to keep your hand from touching it during normal operations or transport of the weapon.
Yes, because
every
the entire idea of that
rifle
is to keep you from burning your dick skin.
Yes. Yeah, and yeah. And I love the grenade launcher that they threw in here. Like, really? I mean, last time I checked, that wasn't even something you can have on your. I mean, not a real one.
No, they're not even the same size as an actual grenade launcher. They're made differently so that we can shoot soda cans. You retards.
Yeah, I mean that one was one of them that I got to admit, that one kind of surprised me. I was like, "Are you kidding?" Now, here's the thing. I got a question for you. You're former military. You know a few things about pew-pews. All right.
We bet. I was also a federal firearms license dealer.
So, I mean, I myself do not have, one of these evil pew-pews. Okay, I don't have one. All right. But
right.
I'm a shut the hell up. I assume that you know a little something about them. Now, the AR in AR-15, everybody knows stands for assault rifle. Is that correct? Everyone knows this is the truth.
No.
It's been confirmed by the internet, and the internet can't lie. By the way, I'm French. So, but wait, did you say no?
No.
No. Well, if it doesn't stand for assault rifle, what does the AR in AR-15 stand for?
Armalite rifle, the manufacturer that devised the particular firearm.
Huh. Isn't that amazing? Well, here's the thing. Okay, so, this whole thing got done passing. And when was this bill actually passed? I know it was earlier in the week. I don't remember if it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't remember. Wednesday? Okay, so cool. Now, let's say on Monday, all right, so I was able to go out and buy an assault rifle. And when I mean assault rifle, I mean the actual definition. Okay, something, a rifle that has a selector switch that allows me to switch from fully automatic to, shooting in bursts. Now, was that something that I could go to a dealer and go buy, with just my FOID card, my FOID, firearm identification card? Was that something I could have done?
No, the NFA from the 1930s, because of the Chicago gangsters, actually stopped you from being able to do that. You can't even do that in the state of Illinois. You can do it in some other states if you decide to pay $10,000, $12,000 for a single M16.
Right. And you have to go to the FBI and get special permission.
Stamp, fingerprint.
Yep. Whole 9 yards. Okay. So my next question. Okay. This pretty well makes it to where basically every single thing, every rifle, you now have to register again with the state of Illinois. Now, do you already have to register your weapons, your guns with the state of Illinois?
Technically speaking, yes. We have an FOID card, the prior owner's identification card, and we have to fill out a form 4473 that you put the serial number from the firearm onto. That goes to not just the state, ISP, but to the ATF as well.
So you have to go to the state of Illinois, fill out an application to get an FOID card. That FOID card you have to use during the purchase of, ammunition, guns. Do you even have to do that for doing, like if you're doing reloads, buying powder, buying rounds?
Yes.
You still have to use your FOID card for that one? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then every single time you make a gun purchase, regardless of you having an FOID card, they have to run a check to make sure that you're still legal to purchase firearms. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's the state of Illinois, and that's how things were done prior to this bill. So what you're telling me is you already have to register your firearms. There's already an assault weapons ban on firearms in the state of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And I already have my rights infringed upon because I have to go to government and beg government to exercise a right that was given to me by nature and nature's God and is supposed to be protected by the Constitution that they really don't give a shit about protecting. Is that, am I right in assuming all of that?
Yeah, pretty much. By the way, we didn't get to go to the stocks.
Oh yeah, we didn't get to go to the stock. So what is on some of these stock things? Whenever you pointed that one out to me, I granted I had to laugh. And I'm like you, I got T-Rex arms. All right. I love having a 6-position adjustable butt stock. I love that thing. In fact, the entire reason why one of the guns that I used to have prior to the tornado that I sold and got rid of, the entire reason why I got rid of it is because it was way too long of a butt stock and it was just uncomfortable for me to use. I wasn't a fan. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about them, the stocks. What on that one was just hilarious for you whenever you read through those and / infuriating, however you want to look at that.
Well, aside from the obvious, like you said, I am 5 foot 6 inches tall, built like a brick, and have T-Rex arms. So it's beneficial to someone like me to be able to adjust their cheek weld so they can actually see down the sights of the rifle. Right.
And better to hold and the weapon and hold it how it's supposed to be held. It's definitely easier for doing that kind of thing. Now, I guess one of the obvious questions on some of this stuff. Now, every single thing in this list that I have seen is all about aesthetics. Okay, we're talking a rail that protects your fingers from getting burned. We're talking, something that allows you to better, excuse me, I had to sneeze, the better aim it down range, better grip it, make it more comfortable to grip. A flash suppressor, which, whatever. Stupid people writing that into law. Now, do any of these things that they want to restrict and eliminate somebody's ability to put on their rifle, does any of that change the lethality of the weapon, the ballistics of the bullet whenever it goes down range? Does any of that actually change the functionality of the gun itself?
No,
make it less
really.
Deadly? No, not at all?
No.
Surely it's got to do something. Otherwise, why would they waste their time in writing this bill? That makes no sense to me.
Remember, they're also the ones that, like I said, going back to the stock. The movement of the stock is at best, and this is being generous, 3 inches.
I mean,
they said that the reason why they don't want people to have that is so they can't conceal the weapon.
Right. That's what they say.
Yes. So the barrel itself is 16 inches long. You add a little bit. I mean, it's not exactly, it's a few. It's still, it's shorter than some, but not that short.
Right.
You would have to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to be able to pull that thing up like a pistol.
Right. Yeah.
So the fact that there's, I mean, I'm sorry, but they, like I said on your chat there, the bill was written by toddlers.
Right. And I mean, who was it that was afraid that the thing would, that an island would capsize if too many people were on the naval base
Hank
on the
Johnson.
other side? Hank Johnson. Yeah. I mean, we really do have some winners, that represent the nation, and obviously, some winners that, represent us in Illinois. I mean, that's terribly obvious,
Well, like I said, that woman, I was watching it. It was live. She was talking to a guy that owned a gun shop, and she goes, "Where does it say in the Second Amendment that an individual has a right to bear arms?" And he just stared at her, and he's like, almost like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Sorry.
Right. I mean, it's right there. The right of the people to keep and bear arms. That's pretty clear to me.
But she kept saying that. She kept saying this over and over again. Well, it doesn't say an individual right. He goes, it says the people. Well, that's not an individual. Like who I'm caught myself. Who are the people?
Yeah, I mean that's and that.
I know. I'm trying not to cursify your show, sir.
Right. I've already slipped. I still try to keep myself at least somewhat good, but I mean, I know I've thrown it in there, and I knew from the get-go this was a topic that I know this had my blood boiling whenever I read it. I can only imagine, I'm sure that you were right there up with me on the amount of passion you had on this one, because I mean, here's the thing. Okay. Let me ask you this one. All right. You've read the Constitution. I've read the Constitution. It's pretty clear on that. Okay. You know a little bit about history. I know a little bit about history. I'm sure you know quite a bit more about history, but there was a time.
Well, there is the being a historian thing. Yes.
Exactly. So, I mean, there was a time, okay. The Revolutionary War. Okay. What was basically, the start of the Revolutionary War? Did the British ask the colonials to do something? Didn't they ask them to? Well, one of those things, didn't they ask them to put down their arms?
Yeah, to be disarmed.
Yeah, and did we? I mean, we obviously complied, right? Yeah, I mean, and we obviously complied, right? We did, or did we kind of go, have the DX
absolutely.
approach and say, suck it? That's, yeah. So
no, absolutely, that's what we did. We said, okay, master of the governmental peoples, I shall surrender my rights to you because I believe you're going to make me that much safer. I'm trying not to do this in sarcasm. It's just not working.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, sarcasm, what's that? I don't even know. All right. So next question then. So, whenever we got done, because they like to throw the whole thing of, the Second Amendment was written to cover muskets. I mean, they couldn't have possibly have had any prior knowledge that our, mechanical prowess and technology would have advanced to the point of us having, automatic weapons. So,
Yeah. The Puckle gun and Gatling really appreciate that quote, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, that was around at that time frame. And in which case, these are people that usually tell us this from sitting behind of a camera that's being broadcast globally. And, well, I mean, if they couldn't have gone beyond the muzzle load rifle, then how could they have gone beyond the pen and quill in a soapbox on the public square? It's amazing how these type of limitations they only want to place on the Second Amendment and not on the First. I mean, don't you think that's kind of weird?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember, there's two quotes that popped in my head. I think I need to say.
What's that?
Okay, First off, these quotes are from 1788 by George Mason.
Okay.
All right. George Mason said, and he said this to, dang it, let me think here, hold on. British Parliament.
Okay.
He said this to disarm the people is the most effective way to enslave them.
Right. And I got more on that, but I want to get in that a little bit later. I want to touch base on that one a little later.
Well, here's another one from George Mason.
Okay.
And I asked, who are the militia? They consist now of the whole people, except a few public officers. Put that into perspective.
So the militia is who?
The whole people.
Right.
I wonder if that Illinois lawmaker means, is it an amputee that can have the guns or what? Because, in her way of thinking, that's probably what it's going to be. I mean, it has to be a whole person, so I guess anybody missing an arm or a leg or, anything else just can't have them. But of course,
guess.
the ATF is trying to work on that because they're trying to stop pistol braces. But,
right. So, another thing that they like to throw out there is that, it was intended for hunting. That's the only reason why we had the Second Amendment. So, once we got, right before they sat down to write the Bill of Rights, the Declaration, not the Declaration of Independence, but the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, what did they get done doing? Did they just get back from a hunting trip? And is that what prompted them to put the Second Amendment in the Constitution? Or was a little something more to that?
Well, yeah, they decided, hell, the deer's got horns, man. We need to find some way to knock them down. And, I mean, everybody should have the right to do so. So that's...
right. And I love to point that out. That is like, we did just get done fighting a war against a tyrant for our freedom. I like to point that out to people, because I think there's a little something telling about that. So, yeah. My next question. You've read the Constitution. I've read the Constitution. No, I want to save that one for last.
No, nonsense. I don't know how to read. I'm just a simple serf of the government. Right.
Exactly. So, was there other nations in history that went, the same, that traveled the same path, disarm its citizens? Was there other nations that did that? And what happened to the people of those nations whenever they were disarmed and can no longer stand up against their government? What happened to those people? Did it turn out well for them?
The government was allowed to do whatever they wished to them because they had no way to fight back. And this is up to and including mass genocide. So...
Let's see, wasn't Mao one of them that did this? And I seem to remember a guy that went by the name of Hitler. I think he did something bad, didn't he? Didn't he kill a couple people, one or two?
Well, he only did it to a certain group of people, too. I mean...
Oh, yeah. So, it did go beyond that. I mean, really, it may have started off with some people, but it really went into anybody whom disagreed with the direction that the government was going, that he lashed out against and killed. I mean, it may have started off as being limited, but it really didn't end that way. Not at all. So, wow, that's interesting. So, okay, next question then. Obviously, it's pretty clear that this assault weapons ban is unconstitutional. Okay. First off, much like the executive branch, I'm sure that Governor Gravy Sweats Pritzker. I'm sure that he said some type of an oath of office whenever he became governor. Was that something along the effects of, like what the president has to say, support and defend the Constitution and whatnot? I mean, is there something like that pertaining to Illinois, or do they not have anything like that at all? And that's I honestly do not know. I've not.
You mean Governor Gravy Sweat, the king of California, listening to anybody but his own fat mouth?
Yes.
No.
So they don't have any type of oath of office whenever they take office?
According to them, no. I mean, they're supposed to, but no, they don't. They might say they might utter the words, but it's hollow.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's hollow with, every single person that's up in Washington right now. I mean, that's pretty clear on some of the stuff that they do, up to and including, and even especially, the great and wonderful President Joe Biden, whom, I mean, a week into office started violating his oath of office, but that's beside the point. So these laws that are obviously unconstitutional, that violates the Constitution of the United States of America, and there really isn't any argument on that. The language is clear. It's one sentence. Are these laws that we are under any obligation to follow?
No, especially because remember, federal law supersedes state.
Exactly.
And on a federal level, and not that they aren't trying to, but on a federal level, everything is still legal. Well, to an extent. But what Pritzker has done is completely against the federal mandate. The federal, that shit.
Right. I mean, it's a clear violation of the Second Amendment. He infringed upon rights, And I really don't care about case law precedent or anything like that, because there's nothing in the Constitution that even gives any weight, backing, or support to case law precedents, to any of that kind of crap. I don't care. Every single law is to be weighed against the Constitution. It doesn't get weighed against, or at least it's not supposed to be weighed against, case law precedents or any other ruling. It's to be strictly weighed against the Constitution. So it's clear that this assault weapons ban is a violation of the Constitution.
Well, there's 3 cases too with the Supreme Court that people can look up if they wish.
Right. Now I remember reading about one of them, but what are those?
You got Columbia or Columbia versus District DC versus Heller. McDonald versus Chicago, and Bruin versus, I believe, New York.
Okay, yeah. And I know, I know the Supreme Court at least held up one of those.
All 3 of them.
Oh, all 3 of them? Sweet.
Yeah, they had no leg to stand on. Not in any. DC thought it was okay to basically all but shut down the Second Amendment completely.
Right.
And the Bruin case, that proved otherwise in a big way. McDonald versus Chicago. They tried doing the bans inside of Chicago, saying basically, sure, you can own a firearm, but it has to be busted down into pieces and locked in a case away from ammunition. You can't go anywhere, everything else. And McDonald won that one, hands down.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous how they're throwing their weight around. So here's more or less, I guess, the crux.
Don't say that, man. That's probably why we have earthquakes, because he throws his weight around too much.
Well, can't argue that one. Can't argue that at all.
I told you before. It was during his whole daily COVID briefings. I have a real hard time taking health advice from a man that wheezes when he walks.
Right. I mean, there's a reason we call him Governor Gravy Sweats, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason behind that.
Well, he already said that, with all the sheriffs and everything else like that, if anything happens to his darling of a bill that he just pushed through, he had something else up his sleeve, and my response was, pocket chicken.
Nice.
He's got a 2-piece and a biscuit up that sleeve is what he's got.
Right. So I'm sure that, every single, police officer, sheriff they can't wait to knock down people's doors and make sure that they are abiding by this ban and will register all these weapons. Is what you're laughing? What is that? Is that not true? Is there something I'm missing on this, sir?
Well,
what?
Considering I just did a video on this that got 23,000 views in 24 hours.
Nice.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked too. I'm like, I was like, wow, it's just still going. That's amazing.
I looked at a map on this, and I got to be honest with you. I mean, like, because that's the thing. We actually talked about this, the other day. This was something that we talked about briefly. And, I mean, yes, Illinois is a blue state. It is. But it's a blue...
Chicago is a blue state. Illinois is a red state.
Well, see, and that's where I'm getting at, because there's only basically a few counties, maybe 5. You're talking, around Champaign, and you're talking, I think Rockford,
County, County,
is another
Champaign
one,
County.
and Cook County, obviously, yeah. So basically, around College Town, up there, northwestern Illinois, and then Chicago are the only blue areas. The entire of the rest of the state, in its entirety, is red.
Yeah. Now imagine if we had the Electoral College for governor's races and stuff.
Oh, yeah, there ain't no way that Governor Gravy Sweats would have made it governor.
No, not at all. But here's what he said. He said this on television. I responded to it. He said the only people that are pushing back against this bill are just out there trying to make a name for themselves politically. I'm like, excuse me,
right,
because the whole reason why you're doing this is because you want to run for president. We've already talked about that before. Like, but I responded back and I said, yes, 88 counties out of 102 just gave you the middle finger, along with with the majority of their state's attorneys, local PDs, and indeed the people themselves. They're all just trying to make a name off of your rather large back.
Right.
That's what this is about. I mean, it has nothing to do about the unconstitutionality of a draconian law that you pushed through in the middle of the night during a lame duck session.
Exactly.
I mean, it has nothing to do with that. I mean, nobody cares about their rights. They just want to be famous, and they figured they'd use this chubby fuck to do it. I couldn't stop myself on that one.
They slip out sometimes. I get it. But I tell you what, though, I mean, I was ticked whenever I heard one of the things, some of the stuff that he said during the presser. Some of the articles that I was reading was really just making me mad, and it's like, I mean, do people, do they really, I mean, here's the thing. Okay. This is kind of what it amounts to. Okay. Now look, I'm not going to tell people what they should or should not do, but it is clearly an unconstitutional law. We as the people are under no obligation to follow an unconstitutional law. We do not have to, nor is a cop or anybody else have to carry out an unconstitutional law. They do not. That's part of it. They don't have to. There's a reason why they are wanting to disarm the people. There's a reason.
Take the word gun out of gun control.
What you have is control. Exactly. They're up to no good. They're up to something. They really don't like people having the ability to defend themselves.
Well, let's not forget that he immediately brought up the one incident that happened in Illinois with an actual mass shooting, and not their broad definition of pushing the goalpost even farther,
right,
as to what the definition of a mass shooting is. But I even brought up, I was like, okay, let's bring up the ones that happened in the last, let's say, 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
The notable ones, okay? We had all of them together, and that's barely even a weekend in Chicago.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. I mean,
that is not sarcasm. That is not a joke. That is, people can look that up. That is actually 100% friggin' true.
Oh, it absolutely is. But here's the thing, though. They love to be extremely misleading when they're talking about statistics of deaths related to gun control, because most of the deaths related to gun control, even whenever they do fall under the, bogus mass shooting thing, it's basically gang violence.
No.
Yeah. And most of this gang violence isn't carried out by assault weapons. It's not carried out by rifles. They're not carried out by people with AR-15s. They're actually carried out with pistols, semi-automatic. But that's the fact. And they also include into these statistics suicide.
Oh,
Which,
no, yeah, and police involved shootings.
Right. And suicide by cop and all that kind of good stuff. They include all of that in with these statistics. And even with all these numbers bloated, the amount of shootings that occur where a rifle is part of it, one of these very scary assault weapons, only account for like, what, 2%? I believe I read that somewhere recently too. It might be 5%, but I think it was 2% of all the killings that these. So, shootings. even if, okay.
Not killing,
shootings. Okay. My apologies. All right. So even if everybody, bows to the Governor Gravy Sweat's master, let's say everybody nationwide abides by this law, is it really going to have a significant impact on killings, shootings in this nation? Is it really going to do anything?
It might even contribute to more.
Exactly. So, and one of the things that Gravy Sweat said about this was, we are trying to save lives. I love it whenever people on the left try to squeeze down taking away of my rights, and they want to call that security because I'm not a grown-ass man that's able to make my own choices, that they have to do it for me. I love it when they say that, but, this isn't going to stop anything. It's not going to restrict anything. And like you pointed out, it's going to cause more harm than good. But even if it didn't cause more harm than good, they only account for 2% of the shootings anyway, so that's nothing in the drop of the hat. And hello, Brian, over there in YouTube land. Good to see you. He says, holla. So, yeah, I love it whenever they say this kind of crap because their arguments never hold water, and neither does this one. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's like you said, it's all under the guise of control and ain't got nothing to do with the guns.
Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say, just remember, people, and listen to me very well. The only person that is responsible for your safety is you. The only person that's responsible for the people around you is you. You are responsible for it. The average police response time is anywhere from 4 to 12 minutes.
Right.
The 9mm is 1,350 feet per fucking second.
That's right. And that's the thing though too, and this is what people don't understand. Okay. It's not the job of the police officer to work in the role of crime prevention. Now, their presence may stop certain people from acting, but that's not their role. That's not their job. They come in after the fact, after a crime has already been committed, after your body is already, lifeless on the ground. They come in and try to figure out who did it. Their job is not prevention. Their job is investigation and to bring the criminals to justice. It ain't got nothing to do with prevention. That's why we have to be armed so that we can prevent those killings from happening. Is that not true?
No, you're absolutely right. And let me say something else about what I just said about the police and the 1,350 feet per second.
Yeah.
Not one gun owner that you can tell me right now, and I guarantee it, especially those who have the licenses that I do, not one gun owner ever wants to unholster, let alone actually fire that firearm.
Oh yeah.
These government officials, like Governor Gravy Sweats, think that because you have a firearm, that you are a lethal threat just waiting to happen, that you want to go out and shoot somebody. I'll tell you what right now. I don't ever want to be in that position. I don't want to have to unholster to scare somebody, let alone have to fire and take somebody's life.
Right. Because
I know what's going to happen in my mind once that occurs. It is not something to be taken lightly.
Exactly. I mean, I know that after reading this bill, after listening to some of the seeing some of the shaking of the hands, listening to some people's comments, and some of the interview questions and everything else. Man, I mean, I was definitely infuriated whenever I read this bill. Yeah. I was
shaking of the babies and the kissing of the hands.
I was ticked, to say the least. I mean, it's a clear infringement upon my constitutional rights. I mean, the the deer does not have to go to the lion, the king of the jungle, and get permission to have and to use his antlers. He doesn't have to use it. God gave me opposable thumbs and a mind to figure out how to use it and to fashion weapons to protect me from anybody.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I got to answer a phone. No, hold on.
Okay. So yeah, it's infuriating to me, to say the least. It really is, because, it's, oh, wow. Okay, there we go. It's, here's a point that I was making. I'm probably going to make this again whenever Brandon comes back, is that, oh, he's back. All right. You're unmuted now. But
you me?
Yep, I can hear you. Yeah, I was hearing the thing in the background, and I went ahead and I muted it. This way I didn't have to hear that. So, but here's a point that I was wanting to make, and I wanted to save this one for the end because we're pretty much there. They're wanting to do something. They want to disarm us. They got some stuff they want us to do. Obviously, I mean, how long have we been the United States of America? How long have we been a nation?
Not very long.
Well, 200 some odd years, so.
Yeah, we're still considered young. Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We are, but my point is, after 200 some odd years, now guns are an issue. They got something up their sleeve. They're planning something. And, a people, here's the thing. I want to be clear on this. I want people to understand what I'm saying. A people should never be fearful of their government. That's why we have the Second Amendment. That keeps the government honest. The people are supposed to be afraid. I'm sorry, the government is supposed to be afraid of its people. Period. End of story. That's the way it is. That's why the Constitution was written the way that it was. End of story. And quite honestly, I do not care what anybody thinks when it comes to the Second Amendment. I don't care if they support it. I don't care if they don't support it. It does not matter to me. The only reason why we have these keyboard warriors that has the ability to go on there and be a keyboard warrior is because somebody with a gun fought for their freedom to do that. No matter how stupid they are and how little we may think that they deserve that freedom, they still have it. And they have it because people with guns. What are you doing?
Nothing.
I don't know.
No good.
Okay, fine. Whatever. So, yeah. We have rights. We have freedoms. We have these for a reason. We are under no obligation to follow an unconstitutional law. And that's exactly what this is. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let you go and wrap this thing up, and I will talk to you later.
Okay, have fun. Take care now. Bye-bye, Dan.
Yep. Bye-bye. You have fun.
Bye-bye.
All right, so there we go. That was Brandon, host of the Machine Radio Show, co-owner of Weaponized Sloth Productions, and he does his show 7 p.m. on Thursday nights. You can see that over there on Spreaker. Just search out the Machine Radio Show. He is also on YouTube and all kinds of other places. You can check that out. So yes, guys, I was hot whenever I heard this. I was not happy at all. It's an unconstitutional law. Period. End of story. We, as we the people, we are under no obligation to follow an unconstitutional law. Period. End of story. We're not. There's a lot of people out there who have stated that, they will defend the Constitution. Governor Gravy Swiss has already threatened to fire anybody whom upholds the Constitution, and there are at least 11 different sheriffs out there in various counties, 11 different counties, 11 sheriffs of different counties that has said that they will not, they're not going to do this. They're not going to go knocking on doors and doing all this other kind of crap to make sure that people are following this law. They ain't going to do it. I would actually like to talk to the, local sheriff and get his take about it, because I'm curious, does he intend on upholding the Constitution, or is he going to try to carry out an unconstitutional law? Because I really do want to know. I mean, I'm serious about that. I want to know. I want to know. And if you out there live in one of these other states that have these bans, how did it work out for you? Did it make you safer? Did it not make you safer? Let me know. And don't just give me platitudes. Don't give me, my feelings. No. Give me some cold hard data. The data that Brandon and I talked about on the show. We put actual data in there, not just data that we made up. I mean, this was, data that came straight from the FBI. Murder statistics in this country. We didn't lie to you. It's in there. This bill is not going to save people's lives because rifles only account to 2% of all murders nationwide. It ain't going to help. All it's going to do is stop law-abiding citizens from being able to defend themselves properly. That's all it's going to do. It's going to remove the ability of law-abiding citizens to be able to defend themselves. That's it. Brian puts in here, he goes, he has already said that he would not enforce that law. Okay, good. So I wasn't sure, because I don't remember seeing anything of him, on this. I haven't read anything. I really haven't sought it out though either. I got to be honest with you, but I was curious, where, does my own governor land on this issue? And Brian continued to say that he's taking a lot of heat for it right now too. And that's a shame that he's taking heat for following the Constitution and upholding the Constitution. That's a shame to me. That's controversial. Please. So yeah. There you have it. I want to emphasize this again, just in case you didn't hear me. Now look, context, read between the lines. We are under no obligation as citizens, as anybody, as we the people, under no obligation to follow and submit to an unconstitutional law. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. One sentence in the Constitution, written in plain English so everybody can understand it. You don't need to go to a professor of law. You don't need to go to somebody who has a degree. Just search out the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers and get a Webster's Dictionary on the definition of words from the same time period that this thing was written in. It's not hard. It's easy. And again, it was written like this so that this way stupid people can understand it. Because if you got to go to somebody to find out what your freedoms are, then you don't have freedoms. Then your freedom is predicated on somebody else allowing you to know. That's not what our founding fathers wanted. They wanted everybody to be able to benefit from this Constitution, not just the people that were smart enough to read it. That's why they wrote it stupid, so that this way stupid people can understand it. Smartest thing they ever did. What part of shall not be infringed do these people seem not to understand? Oh, make no mistake, they understand it. They understand it fine. They're just betting on your ignorance, your stupidity, your willingness to sacrifice freedom for security. I think it was Ben Franklin who said that, if you sacrifice freedom for security, you will deserve neither and lose both. Don't believe me? Ask those who stood up against Hitler. Ask the people over there that stood up against Mao. They bowed to government. They gave up their weapons and they died. They were slaughtered. I don't know what their intentions are, but I know this. If we, the people, exercise our Second Amendment right, then we don't really have to worry about it. That's all I got. I'm out. Y'all have a good one. Oh, wait, I got to find it. There it is. This has been The Ho-Ho Show. For more information, you can head to thehohoshow.com. And for the merchandise store, you can head on over to stinkpickle.com. That is stinkpikle.com. Until next time.